Well, good morning, folks. She thinks I'm talking to her. She gets all excited. But anyway, somebody's here with us. I don't know who's here. It's Texas Fest for day two. Kind of tell you guys what's going on out there at the tournament. And also, hey, big shout out to a couple guys that caught 10 pounders last night. We had twin 10 pounders caught last night. It's really kind of ironic and funny, right? Like, all these pros are here. They haven't caught one over 10. And there was double 10 pounders caught last night in a night tournament, a small night tournament in Lake Fork that was put on by Go Fish Lures. Go Fish Lures is a very small local bait company that just started up here the last couple of years, but they've been becoming more popular with a lot of the local anglers. And they do a lot of great stuff with the local fishing community as far as putting on some good small events and fun stuff for guys to get out and do, all the locals to participate in. Skeeter apparently wants to participate. If you don't know, meet my dog, Skeeter Bug. Yeah, I know. Real original, right? I run Skeeter boats, so I named my dog Skeeter Bug. Get up here and lay down for a change. Silly goose. Anyways, this may be a challenging live stream. She wants to be part of the show, there's no doubt. What is it? You ready to go catch them? You want to go fishing? That's a fishing dog right there. She's ready to go. So shout out to the anglers that caught the 10 pounders. Look, you're going to have to quit shaking the camera and knocking stuff over now. Stop it. Shout out to the anglers that caught those 10 pounders last night. Hey, that's what makes Lake Fork so special. It's so amazing. And for all the 10 pounders and giant fish that we hear about being caught on Lake Fork, there's so many, like, unless I would have saw their Facebook post this morning and stole that picture, the vast majority of the viewing public, especially that doesn't live directly at Lake Fork, would never know that those 10 pounders get caught. There are so many double-digit fish that get caught at Lake Fork like that nobody ever really knows about. There's some that I don't ever know about that get caught, plenty. But it's just an amazing lake that kicks out so many fish of a lifetime for so many people. Good morning, Tom. I see you saying good morning. Appreciate you joining in. Hey, if you are in here, hit a thumbs up. If you don't mind, if you like what we're talking about, you like these topics that we talk about, we're going to break into the Bass Fest discussion here in just a minute. But also, drop me a comment. Let me know you're here. I'd like to know who's watching this early on a Saturday morning. Man, what an event is going on at Lake Fork. It is tough fishing. Guys aren't catching a lot of fish. But it's Lake Fork. They're catching some good ones. There are some good bags being caught, no doubt. There was plenty of 20-pound bags caught yesterday as well. I believe Patrick Walters, after I watched Patrick Walters yesterday, both on live stream and some in person at the lake, I believe that he could have gone over 30 if he wanted to. He got a big giant lead. Like at one point he was up by like 15 pounds and he backed off. At that point he eased off his fish in the middle of the day and kind of started fishing some other areas and trying to replicate his pattern across the lake and just really pre-fishing a little bit for days 3 and 4. I think Patrick Walters has pretty much got this deal won. He's going to have to beat himself at this point is what I would say. Now, there's some guys making some charges. Ed Lochran, very nice guy. I got to speak with him after weigh-in yesterday. Super nice guy. He's not catching a lot of fish, but, man, every fish he catches is a good-sized fish, it seems like. So he had a good bag yesterday. He's about 10 pounds behind Patrick in second. Of course, Seth Fighter's hanging around. Again, maybe 11 or 12 pounds behind, which on most lakes, that's pretty tough to catch up to. If Patrick slips at all and these guys get a lucky giant bite, like two guys did last night. They got a 10-pounder last night, right? Like, it can happen. It's really one bite on Lake Fork. And if for whatever reason Patrick slips up and has a tough day, we saw it happen with Rick Clunn. Rick Clunn caught 30 pounds day one. He only caught 7 pounds and change yesterday. I think it was 7 or 8 pounds. It can happen real fast out here this time of year. They're so locked in on bait, and that bait is so mobile and moving around that you can really lose your fish within an area in a day. Hey, get up here and lay down, goofy dog. What are you chewing on now? What are you chewing on now? Oh, that's just something hanging off your mouth? Okay. All right. She's a 9-month-old yellow lab puppy, and she does not know how to sit still or be calm just yet. So let's see some more good mornings here. Let's see. We got NC Shooter. This time of year is tough for me here in North Carolina. Duck season open today. Deer season wide open. And bass are biting like crazy locally. What should I do first? You don't want to ask me that. I bass fish. I go out every day and try to catch the 5 biggest bass I can. That's what I do every day of my life. It doesn't matter. Like, people ask me, what do you do? What does a guy that fishes for a living do on vacation? I go fishing. What do you think I do? Hey, quit. You're knocking stuff over. Go over here and stay for a change. Now you do got something in your mouth. There's no telling what she's chewing on. It was an acorn. It was an acorn. Apparently she thinks it's deer season too. She's chewing acorns. Watch out for Paul, Nick, Chris, Unra, yep, Tyler Lubenhosen, howdy. Busting Outdoors. Man, there's a lot of you guys in here this morning. This is awesome. We're doing an early one. Flatiron Paving, Stony Stout, Big Double, Tom G. Yeah, thank all you guys for joining us this morning. Wanted to do this just because the Bassmaster is such a cool event, so I wanted to do some extra lives just to kind of give you guys a daily review of what I'm seeing going on out there with those guys from a guy that's on the lake all the time's perspective. But yeah, Patrick Walters is, I don't know that anybody else can beat him. I don't know that they can. Now let's talk about some of the baits these guys are using. Patrick Walters is leaning heavily on a jerkbait. Now, yesterday I showed you guys a jerkbait was more of a translucent. Now, I would have both a solid color and a translucent color ready right now if it was me fishing a jerkbait out there, because we're getting like the mornings seem to be cloudy, and I don't know that this morning's going to be cloudy. I didn't pay attention when I walked out here, but both of the first 2 mornings were a little bit more overcast, and then of course it brightened up as the day went on. Typical good, beautiful fall 70-degree day weather. But that right there is an example of a jerkbait that I would throw under the early morning cloudy conditions, and then I would go to the more translucent baits later in the day. Skeeter apparently likes that jerkbait, but it doesn't really matter what Patrick Walters is throwing, because if you read the articles, he's every time I saw him catch a fish yesterday was on a jerkbait. But he says in his interviews afterwards he's using other baits, and he's got like 15 rods on his deck, so I believe him. He said he's throwing like a shad wrap type bait. He's got another jerkbait. He's got a crankbait. The first day he said he was throwing a spinnerbait, a drop shot. He did not say that he threw a spinnerbait drop shot yesterday. He basically said it was a crankbait, a shad wrap, and a jerkbait was kind of the baits he used yesterday. But what he's doing is using his live scope, his Garmin live scope. He's using that to view these fish that are hanging around these trees, suspended around this timber. And when he can see them moving in live action, he's throwing these baits out there and seeing which one they'll react to, or if they'll react to anything at all. And he's just being able to be so efficient and so accurate. He's looking at them, guys. It's just like, I said this in our seminar last night. You guys will see that video. But imagine if you went to your favorite lake and it was sight fishing season and fish were on beds, and you were the only guy that was sight fishing. You probably win the derby. And that's what's going on with Patrick Walters right now. He's the only guy looking at him like that. And I think at the end of the day, we saw David Mullins kind of pick up on that pattern, but then he backed off, like he didn't qualify for day 3. He was too far behind. He didn't quite make up. And when David Mullins went and did that, he caught a 7-pounder. So it really seems to be the way to go about it on Lake Fork right now. If you've got Garmin Live Scope, go out there and look at them suspended on those trees and pick them off. Find out what baits they can use, what baits they'll bite. And I don't have Live Scope, but I've got a plan to attack these fish next week, and I'm really excited about next week. I'm not going to fish till these guys are good and gone, but I'm really excited about the fishing on Lake Fork next week, because I've got a plan to attack. I'm basically hole jumping these guys. Not hole jumping them per se, but pattern jumping them. I'm seeing that the best pattern is these fish suspended around trees, and I'm going to go out and try to attack those fish next week and catch them. And I've got a good plan. And if we get it going, we will certainly fill you guys in next Thursday night on how I'm doing that, of course. Ed Lochran, man, he's a nice guy. I got to talk to him after weighing yesterday. Super good guy. He's fishing boat docks, kind of up more on the west arm of the lake, on up the west arm of the lake a ways, and he's fishing boat docks, and for him the key depth he said is 3 to 4 feet. Now Rick Clunn's also fishing boat docks, but he was catching them a little bit deeper than 3 to 4 feet, I believe, from what I could tell. But the difference is the area that Lochran is fishing is a much more flat, shallow area. The area that Clunn is fishing, those pockets and main lake stretches that Clunn's fishing have more depth around them. So it's still like a mid-depth fish, even though it's only 3 or 4 feet, because there's just not very much deep water where Lochran's fishing. The water doesn't get deep. Where Clunn's fishing, the water does get deep, so he's a little bit deeper in that like 6-foot range, 8-foot range, stuff like that. awesome how electronics have 100% changed the game. Electronics have changed the game. This live scope is a different deal. Now, there are some insider trading information, some rumors that Lowrance has created a forward-looking, real-time, live downscan, just like LiveSight, that is as good. That it's supposed to be comparable, and to hear some say maybe even a little bit better than LiveScope. So LiveScope is changing the way we fish. There's no doubt. There's no doubt. It's basically going to turn us all into year-round sight fishermen 5 years from now. 5 years from now, we'll all be looking at fish year-round, or you'll be losing your tournament. Like, it's just, that's up to you. You know, other than some rare cases where it's a frog bite or a punching bite or something that has to do with really, really shallow vegetation-oriented fish. In that case, you won't need to use LiveScope. All other times, you'll pretty much need to either be seeing them on a bed or seeing them on your screen. It's pretty crazy what is going on with that deal. So, like I said, Seth Fighter's hanging around. Saw him. A lot of these guys. Oh, we didn't talk about the bait for Lochran. Lochran's doing a good job. He's throwing a white chatterbait. Now, he's not throwing a paddle tail trailer. He's throwing a slotted trailer like the Lake Fork Tackle Magic Shad. The one he's throwing is a missile baits plastic, but it is just like the Lake Fork Tackle Magic Shad, and that live Magic Shad has been one of the best chatterbait trailers ever, especially in colder water. And we are getting some colder water this time of year, guys, especially here lately. It's always been the go-to. That old slotted horizontal tail trailer has always been the deal. And the live Magic Shad is the OG. It's the one that created that. Make no mistake. There's plenty of them out there now, but the Lake Fork Tackle live Magic Shad was the only one in the ball game that looked like that for a long time. They brought that to market. So, but a white shad pattern type chatterbait, fishing around boat docks, and you'll see this on a video that we're doing where we talk to some guys and we go to some areas and look at where they're fishing and break it down for you guys. That's coming out on Monday. But one key thing that Lochran told me yesterday was he's not getting any bites throwing like from the outside of the dock in. He said like every bite he's getting, he's throwing across the dock, like up underneath it, but from the side going across the dock is how he's getting all of his bites for whatever reason. He said it's kind of weird, I don't understand it, but basically, you know, like paralleling the bank, but up under the dock, out under the dock. So interesting little note there. Seth Fighter's still killing it. He's throwing a crankbait and a chatterbait around docks, it looks like. The crankbait that he caught, the 9-pounder, 5-pounder on the first day, was a flat-sided crankbait. I don't know that that's what he's throwing around those docks, but I would imagine it's probably, it could be. Flat-sided square bill crankbait. This is the Crush Flat 75X from 6 Cents. This is a fish catching machine, absolute fish catching machine. They're really good baits. I highly suggest y'all get some of those flat-sided crankbaits, especially for fall and winter. They're unbelievably effective. Of course, Rick Clun was still throwing his oversized crankbait, and watch out for Rick Clun today. Let's see what he does. I don't know. He may have lost too much ground to Patrick Walters to catch up at this point. He's so far behind him because Clun is like, I think Clun's 14 or 15 pounds behind Patrick Walters now. But Clun is throwing these oversized square lip crankbaits. Like this is a Mini Mag 3.8 for 6 cents, a bait like this, and one even bigger than that too. Clun is throwing those, and he's throwing them around boat docks and around timber outside of those boat docks. And I think Clun's focusing on the key depth that the shad and the bass are hanging in his areas. And when boat docks correlate to it, he's fishing those. And when something else correlates to it, he's fishing that. He's just really fishing a lot of water with a crankbait more so than anything else. On the first day, 4 of his 5 best fish did come off one dock. Came off one dock. So that was a little bit of maybe an anomaly. It's not normal to catch 4 fish that big off one dock right now. But I will say this, Clun had a bad break yesterday. If you guys watched the live covers, he was going along, no big deal. He didn't catch fish till a little bit later in the day on day 1. He catches a small keeper relatively early. He then hooks into a absolute giant. And I mean a giant. It is an 8-pounder, something like that. I mean, you can never weigh them, and it's hard to weigh them in the water, right? But we got a really good look at that fish on camera. Best I could tell, it was at minimum to me like a 7-8 pound fish. Hooks it up. He said he saw both treble hooks in either side of the fish's mouth. He And his quote was, "I thought she was mine." And for whatever reason, he said she didn't pull, she didn't jump. She just, when she came off, she just turned and came loose. And it does happen. And Clunt even said himself that mentally it messed him up. Like he said, it's a sport like any other. Momentum matters, mental aspects matter. And as long as I've been doing this, as many times as I've seen it, I tried to get over it. I know I've got to get over it. And if you lose a 3-pounder or a solid keeper, you know you're going to get another opportunity to fish like that. But when you lose one that big, it's not likely you're going to get an opportunity at another fish like that day, and it hurts you, and you know it hurts you. And he said he admitted he had a hard time recovering from it mentally. So after Clunt, as much experience he has, obviously maybe the best that's ever done it, after he's had a night to kind of digest it, let it go, he liable to go out there today and whack him again. I hope he does. I think we all hope he does. Everybody pulls for Rick Clunt. I mean, he's all of our hero. There's no doubt about that. He is literally a living legend of the sport of bass fishing. He's been doing it for so long. It's unbelievable he's still as good as he is at the age he's at. It's unbelievable he still has the mental hunger and desire to keep grinding the way that he does. He is 1,000% addicted to competitive tournament bass fishing. There's no doubt about that. He's a impressive man for sure. What color name is that flat side? I am the worst. I've had this personal one. This color right here I've had for a long time, and I don't know what the name of that color is, but I'll give you a real good look at it. And you can zoom in on the pictures on 6th Sense's website. It's 6thsensefishing.com, and you can probably figure out what color that is. I'm terrible about that. They've got so many colors. I'm terrible about knowing the names of them. But if you do go order any of these hard baits from 6th Sense Fishing, be sure that you punch in the code Your Lake Fork Guide on the checkout screen. It'll get you a 10% discount. Heard Lee say he lost 3 giants yesterday. He has still been in the same area as day one? I don't know where Lee was. What I will tell you is that at the end of the day, with like 2 hours left in the event, hour and a half, 2 hours left in the day yesterday, he was running towards that area. Like I was not too far from it, and he was headed that direction. I don't know if he still is getting those bites in that same area. I didn't see where Lee fished yesterday at all. He got in. He got in the cut. He made the cut. So he had a better day yesterday. I believe Lee made the cut, and he's fishing today. I'll tell you, Lee's liable to put up a 35-pound bag at any point. Unfortunately for Lee, man, he's just too far behind. He's too far behind. Patrick Walters is too darn good. If you don't know about Patrick Walters, check him out. He won a national championship in college. He won Bassmaster Opens. He's won at every level he's fished at. And he's a young guy. He's 26, 27. And I really believe he's about to win his first Bassmaster Elite Series. He's not a guy that's inexperienced in tournament fishing by any means. He's been doing it for 10 years at a high level. Just not on the Elite Series yet. But he's on the Elite Series now, and he's unbelievable. He's really, really good. In fact, he was a little bit too far behind to catch up in Angler of the Year, but he's right there. He's in the top 5 for Angler of the Year right now. So, do you think electronics will get too good to the point that some of it will get banned in the professional arena, kind of like the A-Rig? Yeah, I don't think that's out of the question. It's such a different dynamic, and it's just unknown. They sure enough banned an A-Rig, but an A-Rig was just another bait. We've always had baits. And an A-Rig was a bait where it was like, if you weren't throwing that bait, then you lost when they were biting it. So that was the deal with an A-Rig. And to some extent, we've always had electronics. And electronics is advanced. But if you're going to ban forward-looking, do you ban side imaging? Maybe it'll just be the real-time factor where you can actually see them actively swimming. Maybe that gets banned. I don't know. I can tell you right now, if you're not looking at a Garmin LiveScope, you're at a major disadvantage right now. Lowrance is supposed to have, like I said earlier, Lowrance is supposed to have something coming that is supposedly as good. We'll have to wait and see on that. But right now, yeah, if you're not looking at a Garmin LiveScope, you are at a disadvantage. It's obvious. Look at there was a Bassmaster Open, I think it was, that somebody won one on. Now, of course, like I said, shallow vegetation oriented fish will always be. They had that frog tournament over at Chickamauga, and Lee won that one, live scope's not going to do you any good there. But man, it's becoming such a big deal as guys are figuring out how to use it for bass fishing. It's becoming a really big deal. I don't know. I mean, I think if Patrick Walters continues to extend his lead and other guys continue to struggle, what it's going to take is like the Paul Elias deal. So the Paul Elias deal happened on the Alabama rig at Lake Gunnersville, and it was like he just destroyed everybody at an FLW event. I mean, nobody could even hang with him. And he was the first guy throwing the A-rig, and then everybody else was scrambling around Gunnersville, Alabama to get A-rigs sent to them or to buy them. And then those guys started catching them too after they got them on day 2, 3, whatever. But Paul had done busted out such a big lead, nobody could even hang. It was just no competition. If Patrick Walters just continues to run away from everybody in this event, it's not out of the question that they don't look at banning it. I don't know. We'll have to see. It's interesting. It's very, very interesting. Busting Outdoors says, I'm going to say no because an A-rig is $15 and electronics are $10K. This is a money game when it comes to... Yeah, this is a money game, and so is the rest of life. I mean, unfortunately, we all worship the almighty dollar way more than some other things that should take priority. We all do. In every aspect of every business, there's very, very few examples of businesses that will turn down money for moral reasons. Or, and I'm not saying that moral reasons like if they're cheating because they're using Garmin. It feels like they're cheating sometimes, but yeah, there's a lot. That's a good point. There's a lot of money involved in the electronics industry. There's a lot of money tied up in these graphs. These companies are making a lot of money. Garmin is the one thing that kind of is like, maybe, maybe not. I don't know, because Garmin is such a huge company, and their bass fishing electronics is such a minuscule part of their billion-dollar business. They probably wouldn't care. Like, they probably wouldn't really care enough to fight it. But Lawrence and all of them, I don't know. That's an interesting dynamic as well. Yeah, and there were somebody who was that said that Chris says electronics were way expensive before LiveScope. That's absolutely correct. Electronics were way expensive before LiveScope, and they'll still be selling. Like, it's not like, well, if we can't have LiveScope, we're just not going to run electronics. Like, they'll still sell electronic units. So I don't know. I think it's one of these deals where we can all sit here and talk about it and guess about it, and nobody's ever going to know until it all shakes out. Get over here. Quit. What's the water tip swing from morning to afternoon? I wish I could answer that for you, but I can't currently answer that for you because I've been staying off Lake Fork since Monday to get out of these guys' way. I fished other lakes Tuesday, Wednesday, and I have not fished Thursday and Friday because I wanted to stay off. I scheduled these days off where I wouldn't have any customers that wanted to fish Lake Fork on those days. What do you say, Skeeter Bug? That's a good girl. Skeeter's having a good morning. She's having fun. You know, one thing, you know why I love dogs so much? I love dogs, by the way, if you can't tell. And you know why I love them? Skeeter Bug, she just don't have any bad days. You know, sometimes you wake up, you stub your toe, coffee ain't made, whatever it is. Like, you just have a bad morning and it kind of starts your day off bad and all that. Like, dogs don't ever have bad days. Don't matter what happens, they happy. The tail, like if you just say, Skeeter Bug, tail's wagging. Tail's wagging. Y'all hear your tail hit something right there? Get on the couch, Scoober. Come here. Get up here. And stay for a change. That'd be great. She is getting big. A little bit less energetic on the live stream from a super early, the earliest live stream we've ever done. But I wanted to update you guys on what I saw in the tournament. I know this one wasn't probably as fun as last night's was. I was pumped last night. And hopefully I'll have a little more energy for you. I actually am going to try to go live tonight after the tournament as well. So, stay tuned. We'll go live tonight. We'll talk more about probably the continuation of Patrick Walters' dominance. Who knows? We could be wrong. I thought I would have never, you could have got all my money if you would have bet me Rick Clem was going to have 7 pounds yesterday. So, We'll see how it shakes out today. You guys tune into Bassmaster Live. See y'all tonight. Let's talk about it again. Thank you guys for joining me on an early edition. And one more big shout out to the guys that caught 2 10-pounders on Lake Fork last night. What a crazy lake this place is. Y'all have a great day. Hopefully y'all go do some fishing. Just don't get in the Elite Series guys' way. We'll see you next time right here on your Lake Fork Guide.